The disturbing discovery in the abandoned house. Growing up, Jake had always been fascinated by the old, abandoned house at the edge of his neighborhood. It stood, decaying and forgotten, surrounded by overgrown bushes and trees, like a monument to a long-lost time. Local kids often dared each other to go inside, but no one ever had the courage to actually do it. That is, until Jake and his two best friends, Sam and Alex, decided to explore the place one fateful summer night. Armed with flashlights, the trio cautiously entered the old house, the floorboards creaking beneath their feet. The air was thick with dust and the smell of decay. As they moved from room to room, they found tattered furniture and old family photos, all covered in a layer of filth. Despite the eerie atmosphere, nothing seemed particularly horrifying until they reached the basement. Descending the rickety staircase, they were met with a room full of antique dolls. Each one had a porcelain face and was dressed in clothing from a bygone era. The dolls were arranged in neat rows on shelves, as if they were watching the boys' every move. One doll in particular caught their attention. It had a cracked face, and its eyes seemed to follow them as they moved around the room. Feeling uneasy, the boys decided to leave the basement and continue their exploration upstairs. As they climbed the stairs, they heard a faint, childlike giggle coming from the basement. They paused for a moment, exchanging nervous glances before dismissing it as their imaginations playing tricks on them. Once upstairs, they discovered a locked door. Intrigued, Jake managed to pick the lock with a paperclip. The room inside was pristine compared to the rest of the house. In the center of the room stood an old wooden chair, and on the floor next to it, a worn leather-bound book. As Jake picked up the book, a chill ran down his spine. The pages contained detailed accounts of gruesome experiments and rituals, accompanied by unsettling illustrations. Suddenly, they heard footsteps approaching from the hallway. Panicking, they hid in a nearby closet, leaving the door slightly ajar to see what was coming. To their horror, they saw the cracked-faced doll from the basement, now standing upright and walking towards the room. As it entered, the door slammed shut behind it, leaving the boys trapped inside. With their hearts pounding, Jake, Sam, and Alex hatched a plan to escape. They waited for the sound of the doll's footsteps to fade before cautiously emerging from their hiding place. They sprinted downstairs, only to find the front door locked. Desperate, they smashed a window and crawled out, cutting themselves on the jagged glass in the process. As they ran back to their homes, they could hear the haunting laughter of the cracked-faced doll echoing through the night. From that day on, they vowed never to speak of the horrors they encountered in the abandoned house. But even now, years later, they can't shake the feeling that the doll is still watching them, biding its time for revenge.